that you might, read about in books. The people, they were so kind and hospitable to me. There were one or two responses to that saying, who does he think he is coming here and telling us what we should be doing or whatever. However, I know from many Israeli friends of mine that there is a movement in Israel, not just restricted to young people, but a general movement that we never hear about in the United States of America, of refusing. Kids who refuse to join the army or who leave the Air Force because they disapprove of their country's foreign policy, but also many thousands of Israelis who believe that their government's policies are repressive and racist and colonialist and imperialist and wrong, and who are fighting against it. So any one of us from outside Israel who thinks that Israeli policy is wrong, we're not anti-Semitic, and we're not against Israelis. In fact, we applaud those many of them whose humanity transcends both their religion and any nationalistic fervor that they might regress to. I think we're all human first, and that any movement towards a nationalistic and jingoistic attitudes is a regression into something that is actually beneath us.
Interesting, because I was reading how you'd said that there's a fairly prevalent, quote, cynical view that human beings as a collective are incapable of developing a more humane, that's to say kinder, more generous, more cooperative, more empathetic relationship with one another, and that you disagree. And I wonder what gives you that optimism, considering all you've seen.
I saw it in my mother. I see it in my friends. I see it in individuals and collective expressions of love all over the world by all kinds of different people who resist the temptation to lump themselves into one particular frightened group or another.
Roger, I'm going to put a couple of emails to you, if I may, because viewers from around the world wrote in. Just get some of these out quickly to you. One came in from South Africa, from Kamarin Peter, who wrote in saying, how do you respond to the notion that being pro-Palestinian carries an anti-Semitic agenda?
Well, it's nonsense. It's being pro-freedom and pro-human rights. We're talking about basic, fundamental human rights. So if you're against an Israeli policy that has a two-tier system, like, it's interesting that comes from South Africa, like they used to have in South Africa, before the fall of the old regime, the apartheid regime. Well, I'm against Israel for exactly the same reasons that I was against South Africa. It's a two-tier racist system. They have passbooks. They have to carry identity cards that say whether they're a Jew or an Arab. It's insane.
I'm going to put one more email to you from Bangladesh, from Dhaka, from Masihul Chaudhry, who says, Roger's solidarity with Palestinians resembles the way George Harrison and Ravi Shankar played for Bangladesh in 1971. His efforts will add to the strength of the Palestinians. A comment there. And it makes me wonder, you played at the site of the Berlin Wall in 1990, after that wall came down. From what you've seen, and considering how lingering the situation has been, how long it's been lingering between Israelis and Palestinians, do you ever expect to play at the site of the former wall, the separation wall?
Well, wouldn't it be great to say yes? Yes. There you go. And you can call me an old fool, but these things can happen very, very swiftly. There's a tipping point in all of this always. And I wouldn't want to say no, because that might discourage those people who believe in a peaceful solution. And I want to encourage that line of thought and encourage those people. And nothing would please me more than if, say, in 10 years' time, we can go. Okay, boys, come on, put the stuff in the trucks, we're on our way. It would be fantastic. It would be so moving.
Please do invite me. Roger, thank you very much for your time.
Not at all.
Talking with you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for being with us. Remember, you can follow the show on Facebook and see what we're up to there. You can give us your feedback on topics and post your questions and comments. On the next show, 1,000 women dying every day. That's around how many are lost to preventable causes related to pregnancy and childbirth. We examine maternal health issues ahead of International Women's Day. Make sure you tune in for that. From me and the team, we'll see you next time.
Business Latest is brought to you by the Qatar Tourism Authority and Catalan. Business Latest is brought to you by the Qatar Tourism Authority and Catalan.
Anti-government protesters remain defiant on the streets of Egypt for a second week, their voice getting louder. Their demands remain unchanged.
This is a revolution in making.
As the Mubarak regime struggles to survive, Al Jazeera brings you a day-by-day account of the popular uprising on the streets of Egypt, from those that witnessed them firsthand.
And watching this happen.
Standoff on the Nile, at this time on Al Jazeera. A debilitating condition afflicting millions of women across the developing world.
Sometimes it is not possible to cure a patient with fistula. We have to prepare her psychologically.
Revealing the human stories behind fistula and its intimate connection to poverty. A powerful new series exploring global maternal health. Birthrights, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Opposition supporters in Libya pay their respects to the anti-Gaddafi fighters killed in the battle for Brega. Hello, good to have you with us. I'm Adrian Finnegan. This is Al Jazeera, live from Doha, with extensive coverage of developments in Libya.
The violence must stop. Muammar Gaddafi has lost legitimacy to lead, and he must leave.
The US president has his strongest words yet for the Libyan leader, saying that the whole world is outraged. 6 women are shot dead in Côte d'Ivoire as they march in support of the presidential claimant, Alassane Ouattara. And Egypt gets another new prime minister as Mubarak's man quits.